abandoned for 8 years and left in a paddock to return to nature. How bad could it be? It's bad. It's bad. G'day viewers, welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, well, how you going? Well, you can always subscribe so that you can watch me again. But what we've got here today is a 1998 XH Falcon ute. Now they're a beauty, these utes. They've been around for years, of course. Being 1998, it's about 24 years old. But this rig is the last of the square back bodies. Now here's the thing, I was out there looking for cars, but it wasn't a normal sort of a day on account of my oldest daughter had graduated from university and we'd all been enjoying a few adult beverages, of course. Now there I was checking out for cars and came across this beauty, and I thought to myself, hey, why not? Let's give it a go. And I didn't even bother to go and have a look at it. I bought it sight unseen, of course, because, you know, at that particular time, being full of adult beverages, I did have a very high level of confidence in the nature of humanity, believing that what this fellow was going to tell me was all good, right? But, you know, he threw in the deal that he could deliver it for free. And I thought, well, just sign me up for that, I'll take a piece of that action, because there's nothing like free delivery. But I did consult the wife, and at that particular time I had forgotten that she'd had a couple of glasses of red, and she's always very agreeable after a couple of glasses, right? Considering the fact is that the reason she married me was a couple of glasses of red. So let's have a look around this big rig and see what kind of terrible mistakes I've made. Alright, we'll start down here at the rear quarter panel. Looking pretty good, really. This thing's pretty straight, you know. For a 24-year-old car, pretty impressive how straight this thing is. But we've got some Yokohamas on the back here, and judging by that crazing right there, I think they're probably from 1998. Now we do have some weight reduction going on in this sill panel, but that's no problems. That just increases the fuel economy. Oh yeah, look at that bit there. That's nice, nice. And as you can see, the clear coat's come off this big girl, because it's 40 million degrees in the sun, and if it's sitting there for years without any cover or polish, it's definitely going to peel off. But metallic paint jobs never really do too well here in Australia anyway. But this, yeah, that's probably not going to last very long. Now, this mirror seems to be hanging a little bit. Alright, that's not factory, but okay, perfect. No rust down here in these guards, and we got some, oh yeah, we got some genuine Ford mud flaps going on there. And these rims, they seem better days. Look like they've been swimming in the ocean. Front tyres aren't too bad. What we got? Some unknown brand going on. Talon GLS. Alright. Oh, last a little bit longer. We got some 4 literage going on with the overhead camera. Ooh, computer combustion. That's telling me something right there. Okay, I think we got fuel injection because it's got a 4 litre I. And here we've got some lichen, which is pretty hard to get on a car unless it's been sitting for a long time. Full lichen customization, no worries. Yeah, I haven't gone through this car because, as I say, I did purchase this vehicle without thinking, and well, you do these things, right? You trust humanity on occasion, and then you're reminded that you shouldn't. Windscreen isn't cracked. Got a little bit more lichen on there because you've been sitting for a while. Doesn't seem to have too much rust or anything up there on the roof. And coming down the front here, well, we've got some sports ventilation on the indicator and some more lichen. Nothing like lichen, but there you have it. It's fully customized indicators. That's nice. I like that. Headlights probably about 3% efficiency. Well, that bonnet's not too bad, it's pretty straight. Got one little ding here. Somebody's closed the bonnet on something inside there at some point. Or more sports ventilation for overheating indicators, and a headlight definitely would be dull, that's for sure. Bumper's not in too bad a condition. Does have a few scrapes, but all in all that's pretty good. Clips haven't snapped off or anything like that. These seal panels seem to be a little bit better on this side. We do have weight reduction occurring, but like I say, that's only going to improve the economy, so that's good. No rust in it under those little panels here. Quite often pretty rusted out in there with these units. Now Ford really knew how to hang on to his style, but I guess if they weren't selling they wouldn't have kept making them, but they just kept updating the front end. Now this is a Falcon, of course, and you can faintly see on there that it's a long reach. I like words with ch in them. I find that's a really weird sound. That's another story. Definitely going to need some sort of polish or something on those tail lights. But this tailgate has definitely been toe ball customised. I guess it's got no straps on it. Somebody stood on it or something like that. Pretty common. But at least with this kind of model they did put on a proper bumper at the back and deleted that drop down panel for a spare wheel. Put this little windy hole to wind down the spare wheel. So that's going all around. Let's have a look what's going on in the back of here. It's not looking too bad yet. Okay. Oh yeah, that tailgate, yep. Oh yeah, there we go. She goes all the way down. Both of those straps are snapped. So yeah, gonna need a couple of straps. Yeah. Seals there, plenty of dirt. Yeah, that's a special customization for drainage. That's to make sure that you know, you don't have water building up in the back of your tray. Yeah, that's the good stuff right there. Well, we have got some rubber matting in there, and this piece of wood from Noah's Ark. And what have we got down here? Okay, that's a fuel pump. Somebody's been changing on a fuel pump. Well, that could be a good thing, or could be a bad thing. However, they weren't too keen on replacing this sock on something. Maybe that's on the sender in the tank or something. I don't know. Doesn't look used, looks abandoned. And if that is the sock, I'm suspecting that there's not one on it. What was this? What were they doing here? Okay. Fuel miser. Okay. So that's been there a while. I guess that might have happened before she was parked. We'll have to dig into that and have a look. At least all of the panels are still in there. That's a good thing. Doesn't seem to have the braces that go across the tub, so when you put a tarp on, it holds the tarp up. Right, they're cheap enough to source. Oh, it still closes. That's a good sign. So let's have a look on the inside. So as I say, I bought this sight unseen, which is probably not the right thing to do, but let that be a lesson to us all that cheesecake, adult beverages and the internet should never mix. So I haven't actually cracked this thing open because when he delivered it, it just slid off the tilt tray, and I was a little surprised that I actually bought this thing right. We'll crack this seal and see what we got. Oh, that's different. That sort of smells like iron ore dust and cinnamon bread. The more I smell it, it's not too bad really. There you go. So come on, come and have a look in here. So here we have it. Now, this isn't too bad. I mean, I'm kind of wondering why we've got the redneck diamonds going on down there, but this bench seat doesn't look too bad. The whole thing looks fairly tidy. Steering wheel's a little bit, you know, weathered. What else is going on here? Oh yeah, we got one of those faceless stereos. They're always good. But ashtray doesn't look like it's being used. Oh, it's got a tacho. Wow, strike me lucky, this is flash. Can't tell how many Ks it's got on the clock because it looks like the little odometer thing there's completely gone. But it's all pretty tidy. And what's this dash like? You know, having these dash mats, they really save on your dash, you know, really, really do. Well, what do we got under there? Wow, look at that. It's like new. There's no cracks in that at all. Well, that's a good sign. So even though it's been baking in the... Oh, get on there. What? Hey. Okay, and again. Ah, that's not too bad. It's got a comfy seat. Oh. Headliner looks all pretty good. Dome missing. There's our friendly lichen growing. This isn't too bad. No cracks in this screen. This could be a goer. I might even be able to get this back on the road. Yeah. Let's go around the other side. Alright. That works. Oh, I got a little bit of weight reduction. No worries. That's all good. What do we got down here? What's this? Well, this kick panel. Oh, that comes from over there. This rubber mat down here looks like it's brand new. Oh, what are these? What are these things? Why have we got the longest U-bolts in human history in here? What's that all about? Oh, I know what that is. Those are lowering blocks. Somebody had intentions of lowering this car. That's interesting. What do we got? Oh, that's a new handle. Wow, that's good. Which one is it? Can't tell. Soon find out when I try to fit it. That's sweet. It's shiny too. What's this one? Oh yeah, that's another handle. Oh. And oh yeah, there's your tailgate strap that's supposed to hold the tailgate so that it doesn't get destroyed on the tow bar. Bit of plastic, I have no idea what that is. And a spring that looks probably like it does something important, but don't worry about that. What have we got in here? Oh, there's the dome. Oh, this is good. We don't have to buy one of them. And just a bunch of screws that could come from anywhere. Well, we'll just start sticking them in when we hear rattles. But, that's pretty tidy. I'm a bit surprised how tidy that is. Yeah. Now, what we do seem to have here is flakes of rust. And just like mice, when you see little mice's poos, you know there's mice around. So these flakes have landed up fairly high on this seat. So I'm tempted to look up at the moment, but it's kind of scaring me to think about it because I'm seeing flakes here as well. This is telling me that something's not right. Now, there's that weight reduction in the seal pan, but it's bad. We won't worry about that, of course. Now, somebody's tried to fix this by the look of it because that paint's different colour. But rust on the seat. Now here we go guys, look, listen, watch now, watch. Oh yeah, oh that's some class A, that's some class A rust there. Oh, we're gonna get about 10 or 15 kilometres extra to a tank of fuel with that kind of weight reduction. That is just perfect. That is a hole right there. Okay, we found the major drama with this big rig, which is that if you go over 60 kilometres an hour, there's a good chance that the roof will fly off. But that's no problems. You don't need roofs. It's all good. Well, I suppose we better have a look what's in the fire pit. Well, the gas struts work. All right. Well, that is not as bad as I thought it was going to be. This is a lot better. It's got some, looks like some sort of living creature remnants going on, but I was expecting it to be a lot worse than this. So we've got some, all right, that's okay. We can find some screws. Well, we got screws in that glove box there that can hold that down. And what do we got? All right, we got, it's nice and loose. Oh, there's some juice in there. Well, that's a good sign. That's always a good sign. What kind of juice have we got? Oh, that's just water. Okay, who knows when that got put in there. So I brought you in a little bit closer there so you can have a look in here. Now, the thing I like about these older vehicles is that they have compliance plates and not those silly stickers that you know, they put on the modern cars so that you can't spray paint them or anything like that. But nothing like a good old compliance plate. Oh, I'm seeing stars. I think my check engine light just came on. Right, oh, yep, Cheryl, it's happened again. Anyway, back to it. Let's have a look at this oil. What have we got going on? Oh yeah, it's smells a little fuely, but viscosity's still there a little bit. So if you can see that, and there, it has got oil, but it's pretty black. It's got a bit of carbon build up in there. Alright, at least it has got oil, and it's not milky oil. That's never a good sign. Now, here's the thing, right? Ford, in their infinite wisdom, decided to put the intake inlet and throttle body way down there, and you've got an electronic throttle control unit attached to it, so you know, when you go over all those puddles and bush bashing and stuff like that, you're going to make sure that that gets covered. So we may have a little problem down there with that, but that's, we'll get to that one later. But the good thing about that is that the later model Falcons, they brought these intake manifolds in over here like this and set it on top of the motor, so that meant you couldn't get to your fuel rail, and there was no way in a mad fit that you were going to change your injectors. Now it looks like these are pretty good. These spark leads, these electricery leads, doesn't look too bad. They're not crusty at all, so they're not the original Bosch, huh? But Bosch. Watch words, watch words. Okay, but this is the other sneaky thing about the whole thing, is because, as I said, Ford have folded down the intake manifold so it goes down the side of the motor, probably due to the fact that these older models have a bigger engine bay, so you can do that. With the new ones, the reason they did fold it up is because there's no space down the side here. But the problem that does occur is now that your distributor is directly underneath the intake manifold, so getting under there is quite the trick, and that could slow things down. But being electronic ignition, it shouldn't have too many problems with its ignition, but it does make it a little tricky to get to a new distributor cap. So, but we can work around that as usual. So she's not too bad in here. I can't see any wires hanging off. I can't see any kind of mouse damages. Everything seems to be in places where it should be. We've got accelerator. Gonna need to get down there and spin this motor because I haven't seen it start yet. Now he said that when it was parked that it did run, but if I was laying in a paddock for 8 years, I don't think I'd run too well. But you know, I did ask him, you know, why it was parked, and his answer was he can't remember. Yeah, he can't remember. Now, it won't be too much of a problem as long as that turns over and we got some sparkage. We'll check this fuel. I wouldn't be surprised if this fuel line, yeah, that can come off of there. That's a regulator, that's a pressure regulator for the injector rail on there here. So that probably won't be too bad, but I'm pretty sure that the fuel filter on these is underneath, way down the back. So what I will do is turn it on, remove this fuel line, turn it on, let the electric fuel pump up, see what kind of fuel's in the tank, and if it's still runnier than honey, I'll pump that right through this motor, no worries. I don't have a problem with that. I'll stick some additives in there and thin it out and boost up the octane if there's any dodgy fuel in there, but I don't think there'll be too much fuel in there at all. He didn't mention that he put any in there, on account of him not having to actually, you know, start the car, because he did have a tilt tray that he just threw the car on, and that was one of the reasons that, yeah, I was sold on this whole deal to start with, was the fact that he could bring it to me for free, and I really do like free. It's better than cheap, and that's not really what this car was. I probably paid too much for this car, but you know, you've got to be adventurous, right? You've got to just get out there and do it. I mean, come on guys, how many of these old girls are still out there for us to play with, right? I mean, every time one dies, it's not a good thing. We got to keep reviving these things and keep them on the road, because, you know, they're going to make us all drive those silly electric things at some point in time, and the more of these cars that are driving around the road and sucking on that fuel, and we'll be able to keep them around. But not too bad. So now over here we have no battery, so we're going to have to do something about that, of course. Now I think I've got something laying in the leaves around the side of the house that might get this old girl to crank over. But we do need to do a few checks before we actually put any kind of electricery in here. What's this? And we've got the leads. Don't look too bad. It's something that's been sitting in a paddock for 8 years. Maybe he had something covering it? I don't know. Maybe. Certainly hasn't been looked after. I think it was just a fluke. Maybe. Anyway, better get stuck in and see if we can get this thing running. One of the first things we have to do is make sure that this motor does actually turn over, but because it is a little bit of a tight fit in there, and the chances of me actually getting a spanner on that crankshaft is pretty low. So I'm going to have to remove a few little bits and pieces to actually get in there. Yeah, he's been off a few times. Now what we'll have to do is pull out these thermo fans, because they are just right in the way. Oh, look at that. There we go. Twin thermo fans. Nice. Now we can get in there. Plenty of space. Get my little arms in there. Cool thing about being a small person is that you can fit into tight spaces. But, yep, so we'll see if we can get that turning over. Alright, having looked around for about the last 20 minutes for a socket that'll fit, we finally got there. I don't know, I may have mentioned in a previous video that I really do need a socket set. But here we go, let's see what we got. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, she's turning. Oh yes. Oh, she got some compression. That's a good sign. But she's turning. Let's see if we can get up. Oh, full revolution happening. Make sure we break those. You know, carbon build-up marks and any ridges on the piston, on the bores. So make sure that if it does a full rev, before we try to turn it on, it doesn't just seize up. But oh yeah, that's turning, no worries. There we go. Oh yeah, plenty of compression there. Oh, there we go. Oh yeah, that's good. That's good enough. Okay, so first check successful. We have a motor that's not seized. She's turning. So that's very promising. Okay, so we'll pull out one of these plugs. Number 2 looks good, nice and easy. But, when you're pulling these things out, just give them a little bit of a twist before you do. That way it breaks any kind of seal or build up on it. But if you just pull them straight out, quite often you'll just rip the cable straight out of the end plate, and you know, then you're up for a new set of leads. It's not too over tight. Somebody put that in properly. Oh, what have we got going on here? Okay. Well, there's a bit of carbon build up on there. Is that lichen? No. Okay. It's not too bad. You can see. You can see there. She's not too bad. Maybe that gap's just a little bit big. Yeah, it smells a little bit fuely. But I guess on account of that fuel pump being replaced, and there's been fuel issues there at some point. So, but it doesn't look too bad. I think we can deal with that. I do have another set, but you know, trying to save a few dollars on this. I do quite a bit of work on Falcons, but that's not too bad. I have seen a lot worse. You got to have fingers like needle nose pliers. Get these things in, and that's another thing. When you put, guys, when you put it in plugs, put them in by hand, okay? Because these are alloy heads, and if you cross thread them, you're just in all sorts of problems, okay? It just takes a couple of seconds to stick your fingers in there, make sure that thread's started, and gently put it in, okay? Doesn't take long. Let's save yourself a whole heap of sorrow. The amount of times I've come across Falcons that can't get a plug out, and then when you do, you find it's because it's cross-threaded. Now, yep, there we go. The elbow torque. That tells me all things are good. And we'll select number 5. See what he looks like. Alright, what have we got here? A little bit of carbon build up. Gap's a little closer. It's not burnt out. Hasn't got as much fuely smell, but there you go. You see that? It's not too bad. Seen a lot worse, that's for sure. No oil on it, and that's always a good sign. And no rust. I mean, with a car sitting for so many years, there's a good chance that a valve could just be cracked open and moisture's getting in it. And as we are here in Queensland, there's plenty of moisture around. So the old moisture can travel down the intake and go through into a valve or up through the exhaust pipe and through the exhaust manifold, and just let that moisture in. And you'll have a bit of rust happening on the end of your plug, but when that happens, quite often you've got rust on your valve, which is, that's bad. That's very bad. Yep, hold. Elbow torque wrench, working a charm. Right, step 2, taken care of. Okay, so next we need to stick a battery in this thing and put some electricity to it and see if we can test out that fuel pump. Maybe pump a little bit of that rotten fuel through, if it's rotten, or if there's any fuel in it at all. Yeah, these old girls do have a steel tank in them. Everything's plastic these days, but the problem with the old steel tanks is that people only tend to fill them up halfway. So you know, the top of the inside of the tank gets a bit rusty, and what you find is that somebody come along and they'll actually fill up the full tank, and it'll move around in there and slosh about, and that rust will come down from the top of the tank, fall down into the bottom and go into the pickup through the filter if it gets that far, block up the filter and into the main system of the motor. And next thing you know, you've got blocked injectors filled up with rust. Caused all sorts of problems. So we'll have to make sure that we're not sucking through rust. But first of all, we'll put a battery in it and see if it burns down. Alright, okay, yep, that's heavy. Check engine light just came on again. Gonna have to run a self-diagnostic. Blood pressure PSI, yeah, high, that's normal. Heart, yep, elevated. Clacker valve, screaming. Just need to recalibrate for a minute. Right, so we've got a battery. Now, this thing's way too big for this car. It is a 4-wheel drive battery, but we've got it around about 810 cranking amps. So that'll spin over anything, but it's clearly too big. So we're going to have to get something else when it comes to be a more permanent fit. But for now, this will work. So let's see what happens when we start connecting stuff. Get that over a little bit. Oh yeah. Put him on. Right, let's see. Okay, no explosions. That's a good start. Of course, it's a little bit loose, but that's all right, we can work out. Remember guys, never hit the terminals. Never, ever. Right, there we go. She's on. Now, we'll duck around to that other side there and disconnect that pressure regulator that's going into the injector rail, and let that fuel just, you know, drop out. We'll recycle that, of course. Right, and see how we go and have a look at what kind of fuel that's in there. Okay, that's pumping out down there, and we're going to switch that ignition off and have a look at what we caught. Okay, so let's have a look at what we caught, eh? I'll show you. And it's not good news. If you can see that, we definitely have rust in the line. That's definitely not good. So she's going to need a filter. I'm going to have to flush out some more of that fuel, but that's quite a bit of a mess. So I think what we're going to need to do is take a trip down to the parts shop and pick up a new filter. That's definitely going to be on the cards. With the amount of muck that came out of that line, and that's after the filter, it's either the line's got rust in it or the tank's got rust in it, but it definitely needs to be checked out. We'll have to take care of that before we go too much further, but we know we've got decent plugs. We know the motor turns over. It's electronic ignition, so the probability of it having sparks is pretty high. I haven't actually checked it yet, but if it doesn't start when it does get some fuel, then obviously that'll be the last thing that needs to be checked. But I'm pretty sure that it will have spark. I mean, my experience has been that electronic ignitions really don't let you down too much. But touch wood, that you know, famous last words, right? But we're definitely going to need to make sure this fuel system is not going to create more problems down the track. So we'll have to go and get a fuel filter and make sure that that's all set up nicely before we crank her over. Okay, so I've made it back, got a fuel filter. Now this is one of those metal ones, so you can't see nothing in there, right? But the problem really is taking the old one out, that you don't turn that line, because they're metal lines. I'm hoping that they're not too rusted out on the inside, but I am going to have to disconnect that filter, drop down the line from the tank to the filter, and let that pump out a little bit, right? See if I've got sort of rust coming out of the tank. So here's the fuel filter, and I don't think that's ever been changed. It definitely hasn't been changed in a really long time, but I'm a bit worried about, oh, that belly's not helping me, about those connections. Gonna have to put some loosening up juice on those and let it soak for a while, because I really don't want those lines twisting. That turns into a nightmare. There's the other end. It's not much better, but at least we've got the right filter. And come on, camera, we'll see how we go. Right, but that's a metal line all the way up to the tank, which is up there. You can just see that's the return line. I think that'll be the sender wire, but that's the line there. I'm going to have to disconnect it and blow it out. I think we've got a bit of a job ahead of us. Okay, so we put a little bit of just a bit of garden hose on the end of that metal line, because I don't have any fuel line to plug on there, plus it's a bit thicker diameter. So just a bit of garden hose will take care of pointing that fuel down at the ground and into our little catch can. So what I've got to do now is turn the ignition on, let that fuel pump out of the tank, and see what kind of mess is coming out of there. All right, okay, well, it's pumping all right, but that fuel is definitely not good. It's really dirty. There's not too much particles, but that tank's definitely not in good condition. So I'm going to have to flush that tank out before we fire her up, but I might get away with just being able to get it started, and there's not too many particles coming through there, so I'll let that settle and see exactly what's dropping in there. Then I'll make the executive decision as to whether I should just let it go through and let the filter catch a bit of it, but it will have to be flushed. Okay, it's the next day. Ran out of daylight. So this morning, got up nice and early, and I've done a little bit of work, make sure that things are going along according to plan. Now, there's none of the exciting stuff, there's all the boring stuff, of course, But I've checked that fuel tank, not a problem. We've cleared out the lines, put in the new filter, fuel filter, and it's looking all good. I've also blown out this injector rail, and a lot of crap came out of there, that's for sure. But that's all clean and there's no problems. Now, I have turned the ignition on and let the fuel pump through, but I haven't actually cranked it yet. Now, I probably should disconnect the spark lead and you know, let it turn over a little bit and get some oil flowing around. But I don't know, it's underneath that exhaust, that intake manifold under there, and I really don't feel like trying to pull all of that off to get to the distributor, like I mentioned before. It's an absolute nightmare getting down there. But it's all looking good, and things are coming together nicely. Now, when I did blow out those fuel lines, there's a whole heap of rubbish came through. But this is the crucial moment, and we need to see if she's going to fire. Hopefully it will. Let's see if it does. But if it doesn't, well, we've got ourselves a dead car. But I'm pretty sure that she's going to fire. Everything's where it should be. I'm absolutely positive we've got spark. We've definitely got fuel. Those plugs are fairly good. So all we need to do is connect up that battery and see how we go. All right, she's connected. The moment of truth. Fire in a hole. Wow, look at that. That's running better than I thought it would. Got a bit of air cleaner noise. Chuck him on. Quieten that down. There's a little bit of a miss. Oh, I'm surprised how well that started up. All right. I'll let him get up to temperature. Now, I haven't changed the oil, but I'll let that warm up so it gets all the gunk out of the motor, and then we'll change that oil as well. Wow, nice. Doesn't seem like it's blowing any smoke. So there you have it. After 8 years sitting in a paddock, returning to nature, she fires up. I'm pretty happy about that. I'm a bit surprised how quickly it fired up. It just like, and it was right in there, and she's going. But it's good, because what we got here is a viable vehicle. Now, if you think she's a good rig or you think she's a bad rig, leave a comment down below, of course. But what I'm going to have to do is, we've still got a bit of a miss happening. So I will put in a new set of plugs there and see if I can dig under there and check out that distributor cap, because it's so hard to get to. Wouldn't be surprised if it's the original one on the car. But there is the fact that I also need to make sure that we got some gears. All right, let's see if she fires up again. Oh, that's good. All right, we've got brakes. Whoa, the pedal's going to the floor. But whoop, we got backwards, we got forwards, we got stuff falling off in the back. Whoa. 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 We got brakes locked. Yep, we got locked up brakes. Yeah, we're gonna have to check those wheels. Right, I put a jack under there and yeah, that's turning. What's this other one doing? That's turning as well, so front brakes aren't locked up. What I'm thinking is we got a dodgy brake booster. So that pedal went all the way to the floor. I think it wasn't releasing again. So what I'll do is crank him up again and see if he moves backwards. Okay, this time what I'll do is crank him up and not touch that brake pedal. See if we can dig those back wheels out. Something's jammed. She doesn't want to go backwards. Alrighty, there we go. Yeah, it's those brakes. They're locking up and they're shonky. I think we got a dodgy booster. Probably doesn't help that there's zero tread on those back tyres. All right, she's out of the hole. We got some work to do on them brakes. Well, she certainly isn't ready to go to town yet, and with the way those brakes are, we definitely won't be taking it for a spin. But we've got it all sorted, we got it running. It's a big leap forward. I'll have to get some brakes in, and obviously there's something going on with that booster. There's plenty of fluid in the reservoir there, so we're going to have to go through and check all of those, of course. But then again, like I've said, 8 years in a paddock, I'm surprised it works at all. And don't forget to leave your opinion on what you think about this big girl down below, of course. I'm always interested to see what people have got to say about these projects. But I will be doing a follow-up video on this one. There's heaps to be done on this rig. I've got all sorts of parts coming for it. I really want to get it back on the road, at least give it you know, a roadworthy certificate. But I may flip this vehicle, I don't know, but it's also looking like I might keep it around. It's pretty handy having a ute, you never know when you're going to need one. And also the fact is that I really would like to have this big shed here that I've been planning, and thanks to all you guys for watching, because you're making that possible, of course. But we just have to imagine we have one at the moment, because clearly we don't, and it's a little while down the track. And that's not going to stop us from getting these old girls back on the road, and we'll do what we can, right? Okay. Take it easy, and I'll talk to you next time. Cheers.